Have you ever stopped to wonder why so many people, even after achieving everything they once dreamed of, still feel this emptiness that seems to have no end? It's strange, isn't it? You run, you conquer, you accumulate, but it still feels like something is missing. Maybe because deep down, what's really missing can't be bought, can't be stored, can't be displayed. Life has become a marathon with no finish line, where each achievement is just the beginning of the next demand. That's where Japanese minimalism starts to make sense. And no, it has nothing to do with that empty idea of having few pieces of furniture or an all-white house. It goes far beyond that. The truth is that for the Japanese, simplifying isn't about giving up everything. It's about creating space. Inside the house, inside the mind, inside life. Have you ever noticed how heavy our heads feel when we're surrounded by clutter, tasks, expectations? It's no coincidence. In Japan, they understood something that most of us ignore: the less noise, the more clarity. It's not a matter of aesthetics, it's emotional survival. Japanese minimalism is, first and foremost, an act of courage, because letting go of excess is facing the fear of losing. It's admitting that not everything you carry needs to be taken forward. And let's face it, how many things do you keep just out of fear? Fear of not having it again, fear of forgetting, fear of regretting. Japanese culture shows us that letting go is actually a way to free yourself. It's not forced detachment, it's conscious liberation. And you know what's most impactful? They live it in every detail, in the pause for tea, in the care taken when organizing a room, in the silence that doesn't embarrass but welcomes, in the empty space that isn't carelessness but an invitation to breathe, to feel, to be. Can you remember the last time you were simply present in a moment, without thinking about what would come next, without anticipating the next step, without demanding anything of yourself? The Japanese lifestyle teaches that beauty isn't in what's perfect or planned. It's in the imperfect, the natural, the transient. And that's liberating, because suddenly you realize you don't need to control everything. You don't need to meet unattainable standards. You don't need to rush. You just need to allow life to happen at its own pace, with its ups and downs, with its good days and not so good days. Empty spaces, do they scare you because most people are? Empty space seems like a sign of failure to those who have been conditioned to associate value with quantity. But in Japan, empty space is wisdom. It's wisdom because it's in the emptiness that the essential appears. When there's no distraction, you see what really matters. And that's where the peace that everyone is looking for in the wrong places resides. Have you ever noticed how silence is uncomfortable? How we fill every second of pause with noise, conversation, notifications? But silence in the Japanese view is presence. It's opportunity. It's encounter. Silence is space to listen to yourself, and whoever doesn't listen to themselves gets lost, no matter how much success they achieve. Multitasking, another poison disguised as efficiency. Doing everything at the same time has become a modern trophy, but in Japan, the value is in doing one thing at a time. Total presence. Real attention, because quality doesn't come from haste, it doesn't come from anxiety, it comes from deep immersion in what you're experiencing now. And have you allowed yourself that immersion? The concept of wabi-sabi also trips up our unrealistic expectation. Accepting imperfection, transience, is accepting yourself, accepting others, accepting life. And suddenly, what seemed ugly, incomplete or wrong gains value. You learn to love the cracks, the flaws, what's out of place, because all of that also tells your story. Life doesn't have to be heavy. It doesn't have to be about carrying the world on your shoulders. Maybe you just need to learn to create space. Leave the past where it belongs. Let go of what no longer serves you. Stop chasing what you'll never reach, because it was never on the outside. It's always been inside you. It's not about giving up achievements, it's about truly achieving the now, because it's only in the now that life happens. The future is just a plan, the past is just a memory, only the now is real. And in Japanese minimalism, living in the now is the only goal that makes sense. Do you feel like your mind is too full, that your house, Your days, your relationships are suffocated. Maybe it's time to ask, what can I let go of? What can I release? What am I carrying out of fear and not out of love? If the answer scares you, it's because you're on the right track. Japanese minimalism isn't a manual, it's not a rule, it's a call, a whisper in the middle of the noise, a reminder that you don't need as much as you think, that sometimes absence reveals more than presence. Maybe you've gotten used to thinking that something is always missing. But what if, in reality, there was too much noise, too much weight, too much distraction? What if true abundance was in the space you're afraid to open? Can you imagine what your life would be like if you slowed down, if you felt the taste of tea, the texture of the wind, the smell of rain, as if they were rare gifts and not fleeting obligations? If you looked at the emptiness of your living room and felt relief and not anxiety? Nothing you seek will make sense until you stop, not to give up, but to exist. And maybe that's why, even without fully understanding it, Japanese minimalism calls to you, because deep down, you already know living isn't about having more, it's about being more. The truth is that you know that life the way it is doesn't make sense. You feel it, but maybe you still can't put it into words. It's not normal to wake up tired, to look at everything around you and not feel anything anymore. It's not normal, this feeling of always being late, always owing, always demanding of yourself. And the more you try to fill that emptiness with things, the more it expands. Japanese minimalism doesn't solve everything, but it opens a crack. It shows that there's another way to be in the world. And it's not about romanticizing simplicity, as if it were easy. It's not easy. No one likes to face what they really feel when the noise stops. No one wants to deal with the discomfort that arises in silence. But that's where the change begins. It's not about throwing away everything you have. It's not about emptying the house overnight. It's about cleaning the mind, cleaning the gaze, dusting off the soul. For that, you need to want to see, and seeing hurts. Japanese minimalism doesn't ask you to have less. It asks you to live more, to be whole in every gesture, every choice, to not let life slip away while you look at something else. Have you ever noticed how almost everything you have today started with the promise of making you happier, and now it's there, accumulating space, sucking your energy, trapping you? The essential never weighs you down. What weighs you down is the excess. You feel like you need to do something, but maybe you're still waiting for the right moment. That day when everything will align, when you'll wake up motivated and suddenly everything will make sense. But that day doesn't exist. It won't come. In Japan, they understand that waiting is losing, that acting doesn't depend on feeling ready. It depends on choosing to let go, choosing to simplify, choosing to free yourself. What if you started now, not changing what's on the outside, but paying attention to what screams inside, to what you carry and don't even realize anymore, to what you do on autopilot without asking yourself why? Japanese minimalism is about that silent courage to face what you pretend not to see, to name what holds you back, to let go, even when it hurts. Look at your space, at what occupies your walls, your drawers, your days. How much of that truly represents you? How much of that is just memory, just obligation, just fear of not having? The emptiness scares you because you've forgotten what it's like to trust your own silence. But emptiness isn't absence. It's openness, space for the new, for the essential, for what has life. In Japan, houses aren't empty because they're poor in soul. They're rich in purpose. Each object has meaning. Each corner has breathing room. Nothing is placed there by chance. You feel the difference in the air. You feel it in the way the mind slows down without asking permission. You feel it in the body that finally releases the invisible weight it was carrying without knowing. And you can create that for yourself too. You don't need to change everything today. You just need to start looking differently. How many times have you kept something thinking you might need it later? How many times have you clung to stories that have already lost their meaning? Japanese minimalism is a reminder that the past isn't a place to live. It's a place to learn. You don't need to take everything with you. You can honor what was without carrying the weight. You can thank and leave it behind. There's a lightness that you don't even remember what it's like. A peace that doesn't make noise, that doesn't scream, but that fills every empty space with meaning. You're afraid to let go because you think you're going to lose. But deep down, you're only going to win. You're going to win yourself back. You're going to win time. You're going to win presence. You're going to win life. The rush is an escape. The excess is an escape. When you run, you don't need to feel. When you fill yourself with commitments, you don't need to think. When you surround yourself with things, you don't need to hear what the emptiness has to say. But what if you stopped? What if you simply stopped? Japanese minimalism is the invitation to that pause, to that reconnection, not as an imposition, but as a reunion with something you once were and forgot. The child who spent hours looking at the sky without rushing, who didn't need much to be happy, who knew how to marvel at the simple. You're still that person. You just forgot. You just got lost in the middle of the noise, the expectations, the demands that were placed on you. But it's all there, under the clutter, under the layers of fear and fatigue, waiting to be rediscovered. Japanese minimalism is that. It's a conscious choice of life, not of aesthetics, not of trend, a choice of soul, to rescue what matters, to give yourself space to breathe, to understand that life is now, in this moment, and that you deserve to live it fully. And it doesn't matter how much time has passed. It doesn't matter how many things you've accumulated. It's always possible to start over. It's always possible to choose less, to have more, less weight, more freedom, less rush, more presence, less noise, more truth. Don't wait for the perfect moment. It never comes. It's now. Now that you feel that discomfort. Now that you realize that life as it is isn't enough. Now that a part of you screams for change. Don't ignore it. Don't silence it again. That voice is you trying to save yourself. Start small. One less object, one less commitment, one less thought. Each small choice is a step back home, to your essence, to what you really are, without masks, without excesses, without fears. And don't demand perfection of yourself. Japanese minimalism doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for presence. It asks for honesty. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to get lost, you're going to get distracted. That's okay. What matters is coming back, always coming back to what matters, coming back to you. Life doesn't have to be rushed. It doesn't have to be heavy. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to fill your days with tasks just to feel valid. Your value isn't in what you do. It's in what you are. And you are enough, even when you stop, even when you don't produce, even when you simply exist. The empty space isn't a threat. It's a promise of freedom, of creation, of truth. When you stop cluttering your life with distractions, you finally see what has always been there. Life in its purest form. And it's enough. It always has been. The choice is yours. It always has been yours. You can continue to ignore what you feel, pretending that everything is fine while you sink into accumulations that no longer serve you. You can keep the rush. You can keep the clutter. You can keep the noise. It's easier. It's more familiar, but tell me, until when? Until when are you going to accept living on autopilot, suffocating what really matters? Until when are you going to accept settling for little, calling that success? Until when are you going to let pass what could be light, true, full? Japanese minimalism doesn't promise you salvation. It doesn't give you a perfect life, a manual to be happy. It just offers you a chance to take a deep breath, to look into the eyes of your life and ask, what really makes sense to me? And then you're going to have to listen. You're going to have to face what comes. You're going to have to accept that there's too much stuff in there that should have been gone a long time ago, and it hurts. You're going to want to give up. You're going to want to go back to the comfortable rush of always. But that's exactly the point. You're only going to change when you get tired of fooling yourself. If you felt until now that there's something inside you crying for help, don't ignore it. That uncomfortable feeling is an invitation, a call, a warning that something needs to change. Not tomorrow, not later, now. Look around. Look inside. What is taking up space that could be free? What is stealing your peace? What are you holding on to just because you're afraid of what will be left over? You don't need to be afraid. The emptiness isn't your enemy. The emptiness is your salvation. In Japan, they've learned to honor that space, to respect the silence, to find beauty where most see lack. They know that it's in the simple that the essential resides. And if you have the courage to take the first step, you'll discover that too. You'll discover that what you've always been looking for wasn't hidden anywhere. It was there, suffocated under everything you've accumulated. Do you feel like you're ready for that? Do you feel like you can't continue to ignore it anymore? Because if you've made it this far, if you haven't turned it off, if you've stayed with me until this moment, it's because something inside you has already decided. Maybe your head still resists, still tries to find excuses, but your heart already knows. The transformation you're looking for begins the moment you stop resisting, when you accept that you don't need more, you need less. Less weight, less rush, less obligation. You need space to breathe, to feel, to truly live. And look, no one is going to do that for you. No one is going to come and save you. No one is going to come and tear out your emotional junk. This is a choice that only you can make, a decision that is born in the silence of your own soul. So now I ask you, are you going to keep carrying all this until when? Until you break down completely? Until you get sick? Until you forget who you were before you started running so much? Or are you going to take the step that can change everything? You can choose to continue in this cycle, convincing yourself that everything is okay, even though you know it's not. Or you can start building a different life, a life where silence is welcome, where emptiness has value, where a little is enough. But to do that, you need to decide. You need to commit to yourself. You need to have the courage to let go, to give up, to start over. And if this is resonating with you, if these words are hitting places you had forgotten existed, don't ignore it, because that's exactly where change begins. If you've made it this far, it's because you're ready. Ready to release what weighs you down. Ready to make space for what matters. Ready to stop surviving and finally start living. And if this resonated with you, the next step is inevitable. Share this blessed video so that it can touch and help other people like you and me. Don't forget to click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being part of our faith community. If you would like to support our channel a little more, consider becoming a member of our channel. I'll leave 2 more videos here so you can continue your search. Thank you and God bless you all. See you later.